this is the cover slide so everyone knows why we're here for our very first student showcase with our SCAD students here. We're really excited to have you all. If anybody who's here on time didn't know, we are the Service Design Network New York Chapter. I have a few notes here to talk about what is the Service Design Network. It's a global organization that has members from across the world, as you can imagine. And there's a global conference once a year. They have chapters in 47 different cities, and a lot of different content offerings, courses, different case studies that you can review from them. So they really have a rich community of individuals who are active within the service design space, as well as a lot of materials that you can take a look at and read, and communities that you can become a part of, all related to service design. We meet here the second Tuesday of every month. I actually have a poll about this because I'm curious whether we should mix anything up now that we've been a year in the pandemic, and whether there are other times that work better for folks since our lives have changed quite a bit. But I want to make an announcement. We're doing a special Eastern lunchtime edition with Mark Fontaine, and really talking about all your most burning questions about the business value of service design. So that's going to be in a couple weeks. That's 12 p.m. Eastern on April 27th. And I'm going to do a quick poll, actually, just for fun. Why not? If I can get this to work, and just see, when do folks prefer to have the event? So anyone can answer this if they would like. We're trying a poll for the first time, I guess.
No, second time. I remember another poll.
Can people see the poll?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
Nobody's answering the poll.
Yes, yes. I just did. Oh my God, then you know it's my answer.
No, it looks like no, I don't see any answers. It just says 0 of 20.
Maybe go
You have
somewhere
to
else,
go.
because I also answered. So maybe
Oh.
go somewhere else.
Okay. I don't
Just
know.
guessing.
Well, maybe I'll send a survey later. It says I have 43 seconds to.
Or maybe at the end they give you the responses.
All right, well, we've done a poll. I will end the poll now to see, and I'll save that for later for us. But anyway, we'll see if we want to try some more lunchtime slots to see if that is more doable for folks. We do tend to prioritize those in the Eastern time zone, just because we are the New York chapter and we really want to support our local community. But we love folks joining from outside of the New York area. We have one-on-ones. Find our Calendly links within our meetup space in the discussion area. We're also doing a community spotlight. I'd love some help if Antonio could drop a link in the chat. We are showing, you can check out our Instagram and see the individuals that we've shared over the last month. We really want to show the faces of our community, the people that represent who we are, really. So this is one of our opportunities to really have folks feel seen, and have others see them, and just another way that we're trying to connect individuals. So if you check out our Instagram, you can see some of the profiles from last month, and we're looking to have a handful each month of different individuals, their story with the SDN NYC. Finally, we have a website. You can check it out for all event content that we have ever shared. How crazy is that? We also have a YouTube channel with recordings, which is where this recording will appear. If you like us, make sure to follow us or mention us, whatever you want, on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. We can use some of these tags that are listed here if you would like. So if you see something, share it. If you like it, make sure to fill out our survey at the end so we can see what type of content you like most. And that's everything for announcements. I'm excited for Antonio to take it from here. Do you want me to leave up this screen, Antonio, so you can talk about the folks? Or
yeah, sure. Thank you. You nailed it, Natalie. After 2 years of repeating the same announcement every month. But yeah, thank you so much. I mean, these are very important announcements. We're very excited about the new events. Yeah, as for today, I mean, I really don't have like a speech prepared, because I think this is really like the way we work. We naturally try to sense what's happening around us, and try to showcase interesting projects and interesting individuals that do interesting things. We did realize that we never had an event where we were discussing student projects or projects of recent graduates, and at the same time we know that there are so many great programs around us here in New York City and in Savannah, and so we say, okay, why don't we create something for that? And we start also integrating and discussing with students their perspective. I mean, we think that students are like a super important part of our community. And I mean, we know that in the audience, we do have a lot of students, not just design students, students from different disciplines that somehow are interested in service design. And so, I mean, I think me personally, but I think the entire group also want to do a more intentional, want to start a more intentional effort in creating a space for that too. And so that's the premise of this conversation today. I'm gonna let the different groups introducing themselves. We have 3 case studies, and each case study has more than one presenter. So I'm gonna leave it like that. I mean, I just want to say also that this conversation started because we discussed also with other speakers about the power of service design for helping local communities and helping small businesses. And I think some of the projects that we're gonna hear today, they might go in that direction. And so I think, yeah, I think it's really like an important occasion to start connecting the dots and see how universities in general and students can kind of like somehow form a layer of bottom-up design that can help local communities in the moment of transition of our society in general. So for these reasons, I'm really excited to introduce this event and to all the people in the audience. If you have connection. So if you are a current student, and doesn't matter what level, graduate, undergraduate, doesn't really matter. I mean, we are interested to hear from you and help you curate, for the discussions like this. So yeah, that's my intro. I'm gonna leave it like that, and I don't know who wants to go first. I'm gonna see on our agenda we have the first case study, future of logistics. If you don't mind also, mentioning from what program you are, and yeah, if you want to also spend some words about the program itself, that would be great. I think you do a better job than me describing how cool you are, the place you are from.
Yes, absolutely. Heejin, do you want to go ahead and start us off?
So hello everyone. And before we dive into our awesome presentation, I'd like you to go to this www.menti.com and use the code 4467203.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the link in our chat box, so you can easily copy paste and use your phone, laptop, or your iPad, and feel free to type your answer.
So our question for you today is, what is the future of logistics according to you?
So one person says an hour shipping. That's pretty fast. Automation, faster. Yeah, everything's about the speed. Real time. Insights, AI, faster. Yeah, I read that. Whoa. Efficiency. Nice. All these responses, well, they're all great. Thank you. So should we have like 10 seconds more? Do you guys all type in? Okay, got it. Thank you. So thank you for your input, and thank you for your okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Yes, thank you for your input, and we'd like to share our thoughts of future logistics. So once again, thank you for your participation, and I'm Heejin.
And I'm Arundhati. I'm an industrial and service design major, and Heejin and I are both seniors graduating this May.
Yes. So last spring, we collaborated on the future logistics with this amazing and diverse team of students and with our partners, SCADPro, IBM, Great Dane, Georgia Ports, and Savannah Economic Development Authority. Through this project, we imagined the future of logistics through the pandemic and its future-lasting effects. We started with a basic question: what is logistics? It's a truck, it's a factory, it's a delivery man. It's an exchange of goods through various modes of transportation. So what we thought is that if the world is a body, logistics is a blood vessels. For research, we talked with 3 industry experts to gather a range of human analysis of the industry. We talked with 17 people within the industry, suppliers, demand planners, postal carriers, and more to form up an understanding of daily processes. A demand planner at Nestle shared a sentiment from her colleagues.
Logistics is a shit show and is always going to be one, but with a prettier dashboard.
We acknowledge that although technological advances are critical, they are not the answer to all of our problems. In the past, much innovation within logistics has glozed over real system design by merely developing new technology and interfaces for an old system. Moving forward, we want to change not only the way information is received, but how it's processed and utilized by each person within the system. What we found was that logistics isn't just a flow of goods, but also it's a flow of information. It's constant communication and interaction between people from supplier to consumer. After the research, we used a finitization method to organize our data. And through this process, we figured out 3 key insights. The first one is global versus local. The globalized supply chain poses higher risk compared to a localized supply chain. The higher risk is given because of the amount of steps in the logistics process that goods or products have to go through to reach its final destination. Companies are currently shortening these steps and moving the critical processes to a closer location, shaping the trend of a localized economy. The second key insight is last mile. The last mile shipping typically involves multiple stops and with low drop sizes, which is less profitable for the company. For the interview, we learned that the last mile logistics is the fastest growing part of logistics, and companies are in dire need to find more efficient ways of delivering large quantities of low drop size goods. And lastly, empathy. Logistics lacks empathy. Ultimately, we learned that the logistic industry is built on promises and dependent on trust. We want to show you that logistics is more than numbers and data. It's an industry about the people. We have witnessed and perceived conflict between humanity and machine within the industry. However, we believe the future is about harmony between the two. We believe that it is critical to consider the humans within the industry in order to transform the system. Also, we believe that technology and human empathy can and should exist within the logistics ecosystem. With this in mind, we began to think. We thought independently, we thought as a group. We thought slowly, we thought quickly, and we shared our thoughts. Since last mile logistics costs 53% of the total cost of shipping for companies, we chose to narrow our scope to that. Logistics is a human experience, but the only story we hear are the automated 18-wheelers, the robotic arms swinging around the warehouse, or the next wave of robots carrying their drones. But where are the people? Today, we're here to tell you their stories, a future of logistics with people and their aspirations. The first person is Madison, who deals with unpredictability. The second is Dave, who deals with uncertainty And the third is Nicole, who deals with a lack of community in our college town.
Welcome to Hopetown. Hopetown is a unique community made of many different types of people. One of these people is Madison, a single mother to 2 children, Sam and Katie. Madison is also a full-time account manager at an agency, so weekends are the best time to spend quality time with the kids. And this Saturday will be even more special. Katie is turning 5. Madison runs down the checklist to make sure the day is perfect. Invites, food and drink, decorations, and oh no, the cake. She realizes that the cake was set for pickup and not for delivery, and the guests are already here. Luckily, Madison realizes she has easy access to an efficient service to get Katie's cake to her house fast. Ladybug is a drone service that delivers right to her door, as if it came straight from the oven. Perfect. The cake arrives in less than 15 minutes, just enough time for Katie to start opening some presents. As a Ladybug drone leaves Madison's house after dropping off the cake, down the street we see a man making his delivery rounds. This is Dave. Dave is a 32-year-old delivery man. He enjoys fishing on Sunday mornings and practicing pitching with his nephew Victor during his free time. For the past 7 years, he's been distributing packages around Hopetown. He's hardworking and determined to meet his schedule every day. But lately, Dave has felt extra tired after his shift. Last Saturday, his busy schedule even caused him to run late to Victor's big game. I can't be late. We practiced so hard this week. This can't happen again. But what if it was different? What if Dave could be more in control? Let's go back to the morning before Dave starts his day. He gets in his car, stocked with packages, and puts on Web, an AR wearable device that unobtrusively optimizes his workday. Web helps Dave manage his day, from locating the packages to delivering them to the customer's doors. Honestly, Dave was apprehensive that technology might replace him, but now he feels confident that technology is here to help him. No matter what Web suggests, Dave will always make the final call as to how to manage his time. Now that he's gotten his job done quicker, he has time to arrive at the park to help Victor practice for the big game. In the same park where Dave and Victor are practicing baseball, we see a jogger taking a quick break. This is Nicole, a freshman in college. Nicole enjoys jogging every morning. Nicole stresses a lot about schoolwork and the loneliness of being away from home. So being able to fit a good workout to clear her mind during the day is very important to her. After her workouts, she often visits the local bakery, Sugar Butter Love, to have a refreshing smoothie. Nicole doesn't only visit the bakery for her smoothie. She also does it to visit the barista, Luis. Later in the day, as Nicole logs online to buy some new leggings, she's surprised by a pop-up which suggests that she pick up her package at Sugar Butter Love Bakery. This is provided by a service called Hive. Nicole is excited because she can schedule a time to receive her package at the same bakery she visits on her morning run. A few days later, she gets a notification that her package has arrived. After her run, she stops by the bakery and is excited to see Luis again. She receives her leggings and a new friend along the way. As consumers, we all have different needs that vary within different scenarios. Madison, Dave, and Nicole are just some examples of these experiences. So what does the future of logistics look like? The future of logistics is a system by people, for people.
So instead of prescribing Madison, Dave, and Nicole a few one-size-fits-all solutions, we wanted our solutions to fill the unique human needs of our users. As a single mother, Madison is challenged every day to balance her work life, her home life, and her personal care. When things go as planned, she's able to manage all three. But sometimes life is unpredictable. And although Madison is a hero for her kids, even heroes need sidekicks, which is where Ladybug comes in and answers the unpredictability in her life. Upon opening the app, Madison is prompted to choose a product category. Then she enters the location where her desired product needs to be picked up and selects her own address for drop-off. Madison is presented with a choice between drones in her neighborhood. She chooses one based on time, cost, and personal preference. Shortly thereafter, her product arrives at her door. Ladybug connects Madison to supplies when her demand is at its peak. Ladybug helps Madison in times of dire need and also leverages her needs to increase revenue for businesses. It allows her to buy when she otherwise might not have been able to. So now let's look at Dave. We found that Dave craves certainty in his life. He wants to be able to trust a system to promote efficiency and to have a lot more control within the system. He wants the system to feel like an extension of himself. Equipped with web, Dave and the system become one. When Dave boards his truck, he puts on the AI wearable web glasses and sees insights into his day. Based on load and route, Web tells Dave when he's projected to complete his day. When Dave begins driving, Web gives him a suggested route based on live traffic updates. Dave can review the suggestion and confirm or adjust the route depending on his own experience and understanding. At central locations, Web suggests that Dave deploy his drones, which are designed for small packages. Dave deploys the drones which deliver the small loads while he continues to deliver the larger ones in his truck. While he delivers, the drones return to the truck ready for the next deployment. Web provides Dave the certainty he needs to satisfy consumers and to make time for things that matter most to him. Lastly, let's consider Nicole's experience. While at school, Nicole misses her family and wishes her college town felt more like home. She wants to get more involved in the community by creating a routine of interaction that pushes her beyond her classroom. Hive is a service that answers Nicole's needs. It integrates speedy delivery into her routine, getting her goods faster and promoting community engagement. When Nicole goes to order an item online, she sees an option to have her products shipped to a community hive for a lower cost, faster delivery, and a special reward. Curious, she clicks the option. And upon clicking the Hive option, Nicole sees a variety of designated pickup spots within local businesses. She selects one of her favorites and looks forward to her visit. After checking out, she sees a code for a discount at the local business she chose. Her excitement and anticipation grow, and she's motivated to check out the other Hive locations in the future. Hive leverages existing community centers and relationships to connect consumers with products quickly and reduce costs associated with last mile delivery. It provides financial benefits for local businesses by offering an alternative revenue stream with partnerships with distribution centers. It also encourages consistent traffic within businesses. Thanks to Ladybug, Web, and Hive, the story of the future is one where unpredictability is welcomed, certainty is attainable, and community is strong. All our solutions have one goal: designing for empathy, because the future of logistics is a system by people and for people. So 15 minutes ago, we started with these words about the future of logistics. I would love if you all would drop a word in the chat if you think this future could be different and more human based on this renewed understanding. Thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions about the project, feel free to ask either here or in the chat. And we've also added a project link in our chat if you would like to check that out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. just kind of a quick comment before like the next group gets ready. Like I actually never made the connection between logistic and empathy. Those are just two words that just don't connect to me. I mean, like, of course, we talk about empathy every time as designer, every day, probably. And then we deal with logistic as well, ordering our stuff online and many other things. But, it's kind of like two things that are very close to us, but the connection is often missing. So, thank you very much for making that connection. I found the insights, very, very insightful. And also, I just want to say, like, I think, even in your research methods, I mean, the way you you created the video, it was very powerful. And I think those are things that very often in the industry are there to do. If I imagine doing like a video like that for one of my clients, I might need some convincing, right? I might need to convince them that that's kind of the right media instead of a presentation. So I think, in a sense, yeah, like, sharing student projects, it's also super useful, I think, for this community to understand that there are new ways and different ways to even put together a research outcome. So, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I mean, so we'll take some questions at the end. So, we'll move on the second group now. Thank you so much. First group, who is on?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we are so in time, guys. So it's so amazing. I know that Natalie gets a lot of satisfaction by that. All right. So I'm just gonna say the second case study is Mumu.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes, the stage is yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It is our honor to present our project here. Our project is called Mumu. Mumu is designed to help reduce the impact of using single-use plastic bag. Now here's our team, Wenjing, Lu Wei, and me. Wenjing and I came from SCAD, and Lu came from University of Washington. Do we ever heard that Chinese people are pretty thrifty? Yes, we are. We don't throw away all the single-use plastic bag. We use them as a garbage bag for small trash can. Chinese people are also very good at math. So I spent 30 minutes to counting that we still have 64 plastic bags in our apartment right now. And you might think using a reusable bag instead, problem solved. Chinese people are also very smart, and we already thought about that too. So I did a quick search. My roommates and I have 4 reusable bags in our apartment. But what's the last time we used them in the grocery store? I think maybe last month? No, I think it's last year. These bags are beautifully designed, durable, and definitely user-friendly. You even can fold the last 2 bags into the size of an iPhone, so you can easily snug them into your pocket. Why we just don't want to use them? That's the question tortured our soul.
So very interesting story from Shijie. I guess everyone is familiar with this kind of story. We are surrounded by plastic bags, like reusable bags, but they've never been used. So why can't all types of these shopping bags can't solve our problem? Our team tried to answer the question from 2 perspectives. The first question we want to solve is, does paper bags really an environmental friendly alternative to the plastic ones? The second question is that, are customers the only ones that are responsible for the bag challenge we are now facing? So let's first come to the first question. This question is about paper bags. There are tons of different kinds of environmental friendly bags out there: reusable plastic bags, biodegradable bags, paper bags, or whatever you name it. According to the literature review, making a cotton bag more environmental friendly means adding the energy of growing cotton and making it. This means that you will have to use it 131 times before you can really say this is an environmental friendly option. Besides, most people won't remember or even not bother to bring it to the store. This is a situation. So we find that paper bags or designing a new bag is neither solution. The solution of the bag challenge is about how to encourage customers to reuse a reusable bags. This is a vital behavior we will have to encourage users to do. So this is about the first question. How about the second one? How about customers' responsibility in the bag challenge? Our customers are the only ones that are responsible for the problem we meet. It's very common to see some sustainable programs that encourage users to bring their shopping bags. You should bring your bags, save more plastics from the world. Or we can see some sustainable cosmetic brands, they promote bags as products with their logo on it. But many organizations or people are involved in the system. But what a surprise is that most responsibility is now laid on the users. We always blame users for not using the environmental friendly option. So after finding this, we start thinking about how about bring more stakeholders to the system. Can we provide more social motivation to promote the vital behavior, to encourage customers to reuse a shopping bags? Bring these two answers together. We aim to bring the power of the system to encourage using reusable bags. So we design Mumu.
So what is Mumu? Mumu is a bag, a universal VIP card, and an app-centered service that reduces the negative environmental impact of using the single-use plastic bag. Unlike other bags, every Mumu bag has a unique QR code on them. You can scan them before you check out, and you will have a discount. Mumu will remember how many times you use them. The more you use, the higher discount you will get. That's why we call make your bag valuable. The bag and the app serve different purpose. For the bag, it can shopping, also serve as a VIP card, also can use for the advising medium for the retailer. And for the map app, you can manage bag on this app. Also, you can manage the rewards. There are 4 simple steps of joining the Mumu. First, you purchase a Mumu bag in the store. Second, you download and connect the bag to your app. Third, you shop in store with the Mumu bag. Fourth, manage your green energy, which is an in-app currency, and you can also earn rewards or make donations through this app. To make a difference, we have to bring everyone to the table. Mumu is a sustainable system with the core of mobile app and other companion elements, including the customer, Mumu bags, and a union of various grocery stores. According to the research, reward is much more powerful than punishment. Mumu encourages people to reuse one shopping bag to protect the environment and get shopping rewards simultaneously to form a habit of environmental protection. The more you use the same shopping bag, the more contribution you devote to the environment and the more you save. As you can see here, we not only focus on the bag we try to deliver, the customer can gain the rewards and protect the environment at the same time. And the grocery store can gain a group of loyalty customers and create eco image at the same time. It seems like it is a triple win situation. Designing an app is not the goal, but it is a suitable medium to bring every stakeholders together. I will introduce how we make this happen. So first, For the features of the bag, you can add your bags to your account just by using the QR code. And we can take the edge cases into consideration. When the QR code won't work, you still can add a bag through the code. We visualize and quantify how many times we use it. We design this way because the customer won't give up the 100 levels back that easy, right? And they finally can understand how much contribution I make to the environment, maybe like 20 trees I saved. The main reason we design like this, like gamify it a little bit to increase the stickiness of the user. The more you use, the more you save, but it gotta be that same bag. And in-app currency give you the full control of choose what kind of discount you want. You also can use the energy to redeem the reward or donate it to the environment.
Are we? I think.
I think his video froze.
Okay, something froze. Yeah. Okay, it's coming back. Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes. No, it's good.
Okay. According to the interview, the shopping experience is something that we cannot overlook. If we can help create a frictionless experience, that would be a big plus. If you look closely, people still holding their paper shopping list in their hands while they are shopping in a grocery store. So add this most frequently used function, shopping list. We simplify the shopping list page to only one page without cumbersome restrictions and functions. Give users maximum freedom to add the shopping list. Besides, we also add features of reminder. While the app remind the user to go to the grocery store to find what they need, it also helps them remind the user to bring the bag with them at the same time. Finally, if you own multiple bags, you can manage them easily in your account. So you can make the most value of your bags. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This was great as well. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm gonna go home and count my shopping bags that I'm saving since I moved in the US 7 years ago. It sounds like a joke, but it's actually a very real problem. So I really appreciated the sort of like honesty and reality of the issue. I think also, one point you guys mentioned that is super important. Like when it comes to sustainability, we can't really expect that the user or the customer is responsible for that. I mean, as designers, as organization, we can do things to motivate or encourage or facilitate the reusage in this case of products that are otherwise only used once or very few times. So that's very cool. Thank you. All righty, and I think we are still in time. Nice. I think there will be a lot of questions at the end. Hopefully, let's see. We have the last study, La Catina project, and I think here we go. Sharing, it's happening. Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. We are very excited to be here with you to share the project that is very close to our hearts, La Catrina project. My name is Tamara Castilla. I'm an industrial design major, service design major, and a business minor. And I'm from Mexico City. And I'll have Gwen introduce herself and Natalia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gwen Kroggy. I use she, her pronouns. I have pink glasses on and light red hair. I am an industrial design major, service design minor from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm really excited to be presenting here today. Tamara and Natalia are some of my great friends, and we've been really proud of this project. I'll let Natalia introduce herself.
All right, thank you. Yeah, my name is Natalia from Monterrey, Mexico, industrial and service as well. And I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, I like hot sauce, I guess.
Like good old Mexicans, we love the spice. Anyways, starting talking about the project, I remember at the beginning stages of the project, Natalia, Gwen, and I were sitting behind our screens, just like we are right now. And we were listening to our professor Ricardo talk about what a wicked problem is. A problem involving the human brain, involving human interactions, connections, different perspectives colliding, making it seem impossible to solve a problem of this magnitude. Listening to his words was a little scary, not gonna lie, but at the same time, we were fascinated and we were intrigued thinking about taking on a problem of this kind. We started doing some research on different sustainable development goals, and we found something that we are incredibly passionate about: gender equity. We wanted to help close the gender gap in the world. After a couple of weeks of nonstop ideas swimming in our minds, Ricardo guided us to reach a topic where we could have some real influence, a topic that we could tackle and we could create change. Natalia and I are from Mexico, like we just said, and Gwen is from Cincinnati, Ohio. And this was the first time that the three of us were working together. So one day after class, we logged into a Zoom meeting and got to know each other a little better. We talked about some of personal experiences and struggles that we've seen females go through in our life. And that was the moment when Natalia mentioned something that is now the core of our service. Domestic workers in Mexico are like family for us. They're mostly females, and they don't get the treatment that they deserve. If you have ever seen Roma, the movie, this is exactly what domestic workers' relationships are with Mexican families. We all agreed and started doing research to understand the system around this behavior. We learned so much in the process. We had 8 interviews and a co-creation session, and after around 7 weeks, we came to some final conclusions, some key points that would shape the service that we were about to create. First off, we learned that in Monterrey, Mexico, there is no standard pay given to domestic workers. It all depends on what the patron thinks the service is worth. And patrons, or patrones in Spanish, are the family that are employing the domestic workers. The second thing we learned is that domestic workers don't have a way to receive information regarding rights and benefits. And third, we learned that patrones say they appreciate domestic workers and they know the importance that they have in their homes, but the actions, they don't say the same thing. After these findings, we decided to continue our research and understand how domestic workers get information about work, pay, rights, and more. But before we continue, I want to invite my teammate Natalia to tell us her personal story on the relationship she has with the domestic workers she grew up with.
Thank you, Tamara. So through the ups and downs of life, it is crucial to have a support system be there for you. I've been super lucky to have always had someone looking after me, being there for me while my parents were at work, sometimes helping me with my math homework, and just teaching me how to be a good human being that, can lead a life with kindness. Her name is Magda, and she's the most amazing person that I know. I admire her greatly. But unfortunately, in Monterrey, Mexico, our hometown, people don't esteem her in such high regard as I do because of her job in the domestic labor. And so, like Tamara mentioned, this was our main motivation while coming up with the issue at hand. But in order to grasp the bounds of this huge system, we mapped out the main interactions between our stakeholders. In the current state of the ecosystem, we see that there's an overlap between being at work and being at the patrones' home. And there's a strong emotional bond between the patrones and the workers. So the patrones are just their employers. And we also see a network or community of women that support each other. That is involved with the domestic labor. So they say, like, for example, oh, I have to go to work. Can you watch my children? Or do you know anyone that is hiring domestic workers right now that you could recommend me to? Next, after analyzing this huge system that is part of these issues, we were able to zoom in on the more specific area of opportunity. We wanted to amplify the network of women that is formed from the domestic labor, as well as see how we can influence or change the relationship between the domestic workers and the patrones. And finally, we mapped our solution. La Catrina project enhances and amplifies the network of women with a mentorship program. Domestic workers with experience, which we will call guides, provide knowledge, tools, and trust to novice domestic workers, and they can also be the bridge between our resources and the domestic workers, providing knowledge on our contracts, on our resume builder, and we can partner up with local NGOs, for example, one called Fondo Semillas in Mexico, that provides the infrastructure for the Catrina project to hold reunions, meetings, workshops, and reach their established audience. Next, we have our swim lane charts. This first one describes the way that the domestic worker becomes aware of the service when she first seeks for a job. And we have marked by a star the most crucial moment of their experience, which is when they learn about their rights and benefits. And moments after is where the patron gets really involved in understanding and signing the contract and actually providing those rights, benefits, and pay. After that, the guide keeps in touch with the domestic worker, following up with the patron's actions. And in this second swim lane chart, we can see how the service is now in the perspective of the patrones, because we really wanted this to be easy for them to understand also, as they play a key role in this system. And the journey starts off with them when they seek a domestic worker and ask through the network for recommendations. The crucial moment for them is when they receive, understand, and sign the contract, and it is their responsibility to provide the proper rights, benefits, and pay. Next, we have our full service blueprint. Here you can see how all the channels and touch points align with the steps the domestic worker takes while interacting with patrones, guides, and program coordinators. And we can see whether the domestic worker interacts with our website, which we'll talk about later, or through WhatsApp to reach their guide, because we found WhatsApp is the main mode of communication in Mexico, so we can use that. And additionally, we have future steps that the novice domestic worker can take to become a guide themselves in the future. This final map describes the WhatsApp journey. So this is kind of when we went rogue and created something really different. So this is where the domestic worker and the guides really interact through WhatsApp. We wanted to focus on these micro interactions, as the way we communicate is crucial to making or breaking the experience. We also know that, for example, the terminology of domestic worker and the name that some people give them, it can be very sensitive. And we aim to shift this dynamic from a degrading one, which is the current way it is, into an equal or equitable one. And this is why the current name of the patron would need to be revised to kind of get rid of that power dynamic. So as we mentioned before, we depend on our website within Fondo Semillas to make this all happen. But first, Gwen will talk about our tangible solutions, including our social media mockups and our contract template.
Tamara, Natalia, and I have outlined the research that we did, the stories that we heard, and our plan for a service solution. I'll be telling you about our short-term and long-term solutions that domestic workers in Monterrey will interact with to achieve equity. Because equity is a horizon, it's something that we're always working toward. There is no one solution, and what we decided upon was something that's looking at a small part of a scope and a community. We're thinking globally, but acting locally. Now, in the short term, we knew we needed to establish credibility and reach the community of domestic workers in Monterrey. One of the ways we can do this is to utilize our NGO's Fondo Semillas Instagram platform, which already has 10,000 plus followers across Mexico. Fondo Semillas has done projects in Monterrey before and has established a following there. Our posts focus on the core of our service solution, that we're going to establish a community of hardworking women standing up to inequity, that we work hard for equality of pay and benefits, for respect given to domestic workers, and for building a network of women helping women across Monterrey. These posts aim to garner interest among stakeholders in Monterrey and spread the word about our project. From the posts, domestic workers can find our website via the link tree in Fondo Semillas bio on Instagram. Linktree, for those of you who don't know, is just a link sharing service that Instagram uses that can share multiple links. So multiple links to Fondo Semillas website and also our website, which we will share. Guides in La Catrina project, who are already established domestic workers, can also share our posts and websites with women in their network in Monterrey, which we know are already established and tight-knit. So what is our long-term solution? By continued growth of a network of domestic workers in Monterrey, as well as encouraging this network to share their experiences with pay, benefits, and their stories from working in domestic work, we hope to increase transparency about wages, benefits, and unequal treatment often given to domestic workers. With knowledge comes power, and there is power in numbers. We hope that our guide program with La Catrina Project will bring people together and women together in the community and encourage them to share their stories and empower one another. At the beginning, the main spaces they will utilize to do so are WhatsApp, La Catrina Project website, and word of mouth in their existing communities. We also have a more physical solution that patrones and their domestic workers can interact with as well. We realized that in order to create a solution for domestic workers, we needed buy-in from the people employing them, who are often not considered. Our contracts between domestic workers and their patrones center on engaged consent, which is when domestic workers and their patrones engage in conversation about their understanding of the contract with each other. It is a living document, something that can change with the needs, but also is something that is expressed between the guide at La Catrina, which is supporting the domestic worker, as well as the patron, who is also supporting the domestic worker with payment. The contract can help them build professionalism, respect, mutual agreement in their relationship, which is really important to gaining equity. Now we're going to go to our website prototype and we're gonna show you around a little bit. Tamara's gonna show you.
Perfect. And while we do this, if you have any questions of the website or you're curious about a specific part of it, feel free to put it in the chat. But this is our landing page. So starting here, you see, because domestic workers are at the heart of the home, which they absolutely are, your rights are at the heart of our cause. So the main thing one of the main goals out of the website, as you can tell from the button right there, learn about your rights, is for domestic workers to know and learn that they have rights. So starting to scroll down, you can see again on the left, learn about what you deserve, but in the right, we have the guide for domestic workers, which we want to invite domestic workers that have already worked in this industry to take a step forward and, like when Natalia said, develop themselves in a professional way. If you continue scrolling down, you can see read more stories from domestic workers, which we have here. So they know some facts about the domestic work industry in Mexico and learn just different stories that can really build empathy. Also, we have things that you might like because there's some articles that they can save to maybe later read and just get an understanding of how things are working. For example, this one on the left, how to talk to your patron about insurance. Many times they don't have insurance because the conversation has never arisen. So going all the way to the top, I'll take you first to the About Us. And very interesting, the About Us. I wonder if anyone wondered what La Catrina means and why that's the name of the project. Well, La Catrina in Mexico is a huge thing, and we all know about La Catrina. It's in songs, in movies. It's this beautiful skeleton, very powerful, which it's always in Dia de los Muertos, which means that it does reflect and symbolizes the fact that we will all reach death someday. But this is not only why we chose it. Mexican women see La Catrina as a symbol of strength and courage and self-determination, because this is such a strong image that Mexico is very proud of. We want everyone to feel that way with La Catrina. So going down, we have learn about your rights, read stories from domestic workers, and can we go all the way up one? Thank you. We'll continue with, learning about our rights. First of all, about the rights, as very hardworking employees, as Natalia explained, there's a lot of invisible work that happens. They work nonstop at the patron's home, and then they go to their own houses during the weekends to continue working. So we have, in Learn More here, we have some links to some governmental websites where they can actually learn about what they deserve within the law. If we continue going down, we see about benefits. Same thing. These links will take them directly to Mexico's government website, where they state as a law what they need as a benefit. We'll continue going down. And of course, we have join our community. And this is where, if you want to be part of the mentoring program, you can create an account. You have your first name, last name, picture, and pretty much what you need. Wake up availability and all of it. So can we go up one more time? Perfect. We're gonna go to facts. And here is where domestic workers can find this factual information that can assure them that their work is valid. For example, can we scroll down a little? We have information regarding standard pay is not accessible. All right, so maybe starting to get them to ask those questions of like, why not? And just start building that curiosity within them so those conversations can be had. There is an empathy gap between patrones and domestic workers, and just really bringing some knowledge and, like I said, curiosity to start conversations. And going up one more time, our contracts. When was talking about our contracts, so this is pretty much how we start building this. If you don't want to be part of the mentorship program, you can still get a contract so you can, again, have a base to start the conversation with your patrones. So one option, of course, is to connect with a guide. And then second step, read and understand the contract. And then sign it with your patrones. La Catrina and the guides are there as support, but at the end of the day, it is between the domestic worker and the patrones to have that communication and that connection. Signing to access the contracts, and La Catrina make sure that all the files and all the paperwork is stored and is safe. So going back, yes, perfect. Becoming a guide, sign up for the Catrina project, excuse me. And of course, you tell what experience you have, because like we said, a lot of domestic workers do a lot of different works. Some take care of kids, very young kids, and they have dogs. And maybe some actually take care of the outdoor patio. And there's a lot of specific jobs that are not easy to learn, and they're really very good experience. So we teach them that this is also very valid experience, and it needs to be showcased. And then going down, they have 1 week of training ready to make a difference. Of course, just to show them how to guide and kind of like the basis of what their role is within this mentorship program. And they go to apply to become a guide. And that is the guide application. They put their information down, and that is where they take the first step to be part of the change. And before we move on, I want everyone to take a second and think about the person that was there for you while you were growing up. And just picture that person, that name, if they're multiple, have them in your head. We all have different support system when we were growing up. So we have our parents, we have our siblings, maybe a friend. We have domestic workers with us. In Mexico, domestic workers are the heart of the home. They're part of our families, and we want to provide a resource that demand what they deserve, a resource that will reflect the worth and the impact that they have in our day-to-day life. Because without them, we wouldn't be who we are today. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I might have some background noise for celebrating the Turkish study. Sorry about that. But yeah, this was fantastic. I mean, I think, again, another example of how service design, it is also a practice to make some existing systems surface. And everybody in the chat was commenting about your stakeholder map that goes really beyond the stakeholder map. You really kind of visualize relationships and somehow even power dynamic in a sense, and almost like with the map, you already have some sort of direction that appear clear. And I think again, sometimes research methods go so much beyond just research as sourcing information, sourcing insights, but they really kind of draw a very vivid picture of reality, and then at that point the solution is almost obvious, right? So I really appreciate that. I think everybody appreciates that in the audience. I mean, I also have a kind of personal attachment to this subject. I mean, I think in Italy we have a similar support system. In most family have a very similar support system, with domestic worker being like a big part of the community, and so I can really relate to that. And I think again, there are also some very long-term relationships that families build with those domestic workers, and I think it's I mean, all the resources they put together, all the processes, all the guidelines, it's something that it's a model that I think it's exportable in so many situations. I can think also, childcare in the US, for example, is a big topic that follows some similar dynamics. So thank you very much for kind of like starting that, and hopefully your model can kind of like adapt to different contexts for sure. So I really also encourage you to continue the project after your course. That's just like something I would like to see in a few years. Yeah, but having said that, we are so much in time. I mean, guys, I mean, the timing in these events are so spot on.
Can you tell that we practiced? Because we did. We timed ourselves.
Yes, you were great. No, yeah, it was perfect. So we have enough time to really ask questions and discuss, even chat. I don't know if there are any burning questions from the audience. I have many, but I wanna leave some space. I know I talk a lot. Yeah, ask question. Even if anybody has any comment, doesn't have to be a question.
I have
curious.
a question.
Hey, hi. Yes, sure.
Hey, Anthony. Yes, I wanted to ask the Katrina Project group, were you able to talk to any domestic workers? I don't know if I missed it, if you covered it, but I was wondering if they got super excited when they saw this, and if they were asking you if you were going to bring this to life, and what you learned from them.
We're like, who's going? We actually were, like, Natalia is from Monterrey, so we did have access to talk to domestic workers themselves, and we actually invited some to the final presentation of this because it was a class project. I don't remember, Natalia, if they ended up going to the presentation, but we do know that a lot of people were very excited, and we actually tried to contact Fondo Semillas, that is the nonprofit that we talked about in the presentation. We still haven't succeeded, but we're taking steps trying to get there, because there was a lot of, well, personally, what I saw, and I would love if when Natalia add afterwards, I saw just a sense of knowing worth, and like they're not aware of their worth, other than I love my kids that are like the kids of the patrones usually, but they don't know the impact that they have in people's lives. So starting to even show them that was very impressive. And if Natalia wouldn't have anything to add.
I mean, to be honest, I think the presentation has to be different. It's a very sensitive topic, and I can't just be like, oh, look at this case study about yourself, like I don't think that would be the way to approach it. But my hopes is that this can become a reality, and if so, then I would be like, hey, like, I want you to know that this was because of you. Like, you made this impact in my life, and I like tell you every day, but I want you to see what I'm doing about it. So I feel like the presentation has to be not a presentation, it has to be actions, and that's the way that I'm going to show you the project. So yeah, that answers the question.
It's a very good point. Your audience.
Yeah. And we've spoken, with some of our domestic workers that we spoke with, and just really let them know again how crucial they are to this project. This is something we see sometimes in research where people talk to the true beneficiaries or people who are hurt by the systems that we work in. They talk to them, they get their ideas, but then they jet. They don't come back to talk to those stakeholders. They don't really consider how they themselves as research have a position of privilege and power to actually help those stakeholders. And so this is something that Tamara, Natalia, and I are extremely aware of. We continue to talk to the domestic workers, and we're planning again to reach out to Fundacemias and try and keep this going as much as we possibly can. The pandemic threw a wrench in some things. As we all know, we're all taking this virtually, but this is something that's really important to all of us, and we recognize the importance of truly making the women we spoke with feel valued and not just saying that we're going to try and make them feel valued.
Yeah, that's super cool. Good job.
And if I may, like, I think Natalia's comment is I think I really appreciate that too, because I mean, that's, if we want to generalize that, most of the conversation that I'm starting also, privately, are about, bringing service design to small businesses. And then there's always this thing, yeah, but a small business might not be mature enough in terms of management. And sometimes there's not even a management, there's just like a family running something and they don't understand. And then, they can't take this time to go through our, service design, whatever process. And, my point is always like, that's our fault, right? Like, that's our responsibility as designing, translating these things. In this case, final presentation, but even like the work in progress, all the activities that we do, we can't expect that that those tools and methods are done in the same way that we do with a big large organization. I mean, that's just like up to us to really refine our craft, and so I think that's something that is applicable to all these case studies and in general to support local communities. So yeah, thank you very much for that comment, and yeah, it gave us the opportunity to kind of reflect on that as well. Well, any other questions?
I actually have a question for Hijin and Arundhati. So I do. Is that okay? Is that allowed?
It's great, but like,
He's ready for it.
Okay, yeah,
Awesome.
okay. Did you prepare this, you guys? Like,
no,
okay.
We just know each
I'm
other.
Just joking. I'm just taking the time for like more like.
I actually just worked on a project with Arundhati, Natalia, and Tamara together. So
okay,
we do
ask
know
the
each
other
other.
question possible.
And Shiji. Yeah, so Arundhati and Hijin, when you were thinking about presenting your service deliverables, how did the idea of that video come about? Were you considering presenting maps or other visuals? How did the video come about?
So when we like worked on this project, logistics is obviously like a huge industry, and we made tons of maps. Like, we had a mural board filled with like all these system maps, and we're trying to visualize what logistics looked like sitting in our rooms, because this was during the pandemic, and I'm like, I don't even know how to make this come to life. And we just we were trying to like explain things to each other using stories, and I think that's where we realized like maybe that's just the way to explain the concept to anybody else. Like, we need to storytell it through a video and just show what this world would look like. I don't know if Hijin, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, and also we have like 3 different solutions, but they're all targeting last mile in the logistics. So that's why we're like, okay, maybe it's good to have one story that can represent like 3 individual different stories in it. So.
And again, I mean, stuff is invisible, right? Sometimes even clients that ask you to do things, they don't know what they want because it's invisible to them. That they know they have a need, but it's invisible. And so, making it invisible is what we're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
There's another question. What what's your question? Natalie, what do you have any questions? I'm getting lost.
I was just
very bad at reading.
Trying to elevate Caroline's question about this is
right.
to the logistics team about what piqued your interest into logistics.
I didn't know anything about it. Like, when I heard the word logistics at first, I didn't know what it meant, and that's partly why I picked it. I was like, okay, I've never, like, I've experienced the industry. I've been part of like using the services, but I didn't know enough about logistics. So that's kind of how we ended up choosing that topic. And it was actually my first service design project almost. It's so funny, like, that now that I think about it, like, it's such a, like, trying to condense the system and looking at it to design a new one was very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, because when we first started this project, the logistic itself, to me, it was just a box. Not not the delivery man, not a truck, it's just a box. And we started from the ground and we found out that, like we said in the presentation, if the world is a body, logistics are blood vessels, then we were like, dude, logistics is a big thing in around the world. So it was pretty cool doing the project.
It's like
Yeah.
operations, right? Like these things, that these kind of like things that supposed to happen in these processes, but then at the end of the day, it's all people.
I'm also very
Absolutely.
interested in the project of logistics. Is there any second part of it? Are we going to see it in our real life? You know,
So I don't really know. So we did this project as like the first team who went in. We tried to imagine this future. I think there was another group of students that tried to build upon this project and take it even further. Because in 10 weeks, we weren't able to come up with detailed solutions. As you could tell, like, it was more about trying to design this possibility of a system. So I actually don't know how far the next team got, but maybe I'll bring you guys some updates if we do this again.
Yeah.
please do that.
Absolutely.
I had a question again, sorry, it's me, for Shiji and Wenjing. So have you thought about, your project is something that I can really see on the shelves like right now. Like I can see companies across that space buying into this right now. So have you thought about next steps, or have you been able to talk to anyone about the project?
Yeah, for this, for next steps, there is something that is kind of short, like disadvantage of this project is we need to invite the economists to evaluate the reward system within the app. If the reward system is not going to work as we expected, the customer won't be motivated to continue to use this service. That will be our next step, inviting the expert to evaluate the business model and reward system. We might to change the form of the reward system in the end.
Yeah. And we are also like trying to sharing our ideas with more sustainable programs, organizations to see is there any opportunity to work with the local groceries, like do they want to establish their own like membership system with a sustainable bag.
I had a question for the Mumu team speaking now as well around any considerations. I noticed I was thinking about the screens and the list that you had created, and I started thinking about recipes or ways to help people do their shopping. And I was curious what exploration maybe you had in that space, if at all, or even partnership with, like, I think of these HelloFresh and Blue Aprons, and like, how could you consider that portion of it in relationship to shopping or not, but just curious about any thoughts you had around that.
Do you want to go first, Shijie?
You can go first.
That part was very interesting because like when we do some observation about how people do their groceries, we do notice many people, they are very old fashioned. They had a list in their hand and they just look at, oh, what I'm going to buy, what I need. So we put that part, that idea, that habit, like in our app, but like it's a very good suggestion to work with HelloFresh because they provide the recipe. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's something that we never thought of. Like we just try to add this feature to motivate the user a little bit more, and add the preset recipe would be an even better idea, I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I speak selfishly about myself, that like, what are the easier ways? Like, what do I even need to buy to make a certain thing? Or are there QR codes into the Trader Joe's and you scan them because I want to make the picture that they have right there. And now I know. So I wonder about different integrations you could do to help people shop that could be a feature add to the bag as well. But very cool idea. I liked it in general. I could see myself using it.
Yeah, thank you for your advice.
So going towards the end of our time together, I guess. But I mean, I think there are a couple of closing questions. One is the one that I love is what inspired you to get into service design, and then I have another one that is even more profound than that. So let's start with this one because mine is probably very heavy. I go last. But yeah, what inspired you to go into service design? I think that's something, again, like we really want to understand how new designers get into the practice. I think it's something that it's probably refreshing for us that maybe are doing this for a couple of years now. And I mean, some of us are teaching as well. So, I mean, I think it's important for us to have that perspective.
Who wants to start, everyone?
T, you go.
Okay. So service design, what a thing. It's hard even to say what it is. So how personally I came kind of like in love with design was through music. And I started as an industrial designer here. And actually my favorite industrial design project is a record player. And I have all my records here next to me and everything. And one time I went with my dad and my mom to New York, and I was like, the music and everything's amazing. And I actually started thinking of like, okay, so I've always wondered how the record player came to be as a product. And I started thinking like, who decides that like the subway needs to work like this? Like who thought of this? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is so big. And here at SCAD, through researching and kind of like understanding that a product lives in a system, and there's an ecosystem to everything, like every product that we have right now. Starting to learn of like how a product can affect someone in a deeper level than just an encounter, but like subconsciously, just like so many elements of it. I kind of like was like, all right, well, let me take a couple service design classes and see what this crazy thing is all about. And I completely fell in love with it. And I found that we can actually impact people in very important ways as inequity. And we have, as designers, a privilege of being able to shape the world. And with this privilege comes the opportunity to amplify different voices. And that personally is what completely got me. And I was like, I want to be a service designer because I'm aware of this. And this is kind of like the purpose I want in my life. So personally, that's how service design came to be in this little crazy Mexican head.
I have a short answer. I was also in industrial design. Really was into, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in college, and my dad's an engineer, and we built things a lot growing up. He's actually on this call. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
And hi, Dan. And we built a lot of things together, and I was really good at working with my hands and just loved like thinking about that. And so industrial design I went. And when I started looking at design thinking, it became more about solving problems, right? And then when we start to think about problems, well, what are problems? Who are they connected to? They don't exist in a vacuum. So for me, it was that understanding of, like Tamara said, and I think this is a really important teaching that Marisa Manhace, who's on this call, he's one of the great professors at SCAD, has really helped us understand, which is products really exist in so many different ways, and services do too, and they're all interconnected in this big system. And so when you're thinking about solving a problem, industrial design or UX might be limited. If you're only thinking in terms of a product or a digital service, you're not thinking of the whole scope. And so for me, what attracted me to service design was that holistic aspect of really thinking about solving problems with any means possible, not just products, not just apps, but also looking at existing institutions, looking at things that are low risk, low entry, that can solve a problem sooner than developing a big expensive product with a big expensive corporate partner. So for me, that's really what I got in. It's supposed to be short, but I started talking more about it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Great. Sure, there are some other stories.
I guess as a third member of this group, similar to both of you, I just wanted to solve problems. Started out in industrial, and then my intro professor told me, "You can't save the world," and I was like,
"Yes, I can."
Yes, I can. So here I am trying. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love your story so much.
Okay, you go.
Yeah, thank you. I love your story so much. Like I also once had the idea, the dream of shape the world, save the world, and like look at the things from the holistic perspective. And I have a tiny part to add. It's about the implementation, because like it happens so many times. We figure out there is no only one solution to the problem. There can be so many solutions, and it's very hard to decide whether it's bad or it's a good solution before you have the ability to put it into implementation and to prototype it. It's so essential. Like this is my main takeaway of this year.
Thank you. Great stuff.
Okay, I'll go.
Yes.
My answer is really short. Like Natalia said, I just want to solve a problem. Like I studied computer science before I started this industrial design, and then I came to industrial design, and I'm here like service design network presenting my project. So you never know where your life will lead you next steps, but I want to solve a problem and I want to make people happy.
Well, next step is that we're gonna take over the group, and then you're gonna start organizing, and we're gonna do something else. I'm joking, but these are fantastic stories. Is there more? Like I want more stories, please.
I'd love to hear from some of the service design members, if they're willing to share as well.
Yeah, I can go. I mean, mine is short. I think I was also an industrial designer, and then I just felt that industrial design was limited because partly for everything you said, you know, a product is part of a system. It's about experience. It's about the impact that it has on people. But then also, I was really unsatisfied about the design process. Like you know, I graduated 10 years ago, and it was still a time where, you know, co-design and participatory design and design thinking was kind of like a discussion. It was like, oh, is it a good thing? Is not a good thing? I mean, there were evidences that it was better to collaborate in a design project, but there were still kind of like a strong opinion on how experts should design and users should use and organizations should listen to experts, and you know, things were working in silos, and so it was still kind of like there was still a lot of convincing and kind of advocating for a more collaborative approach. And so I was simply trying to start product design projects and spatial design projects in a more collaborative way, and then the thing got completely out of hand. Apparently, I was kind of good at facilitating co-design, and then from like a product became like a big space, from a space became an experience within a space, from an experience within a space it became a digital service, and yeah, now I work with governments and banks on projects that don't even end up being about something, they just end up being about the way that the organization work. And yeah, so I think that was the sort of like path. But I also appreciate, I mean, coming back to some of your projects, I really appreciate the, you know, this going back to kind of real problems, like quote unquote simple problems, or problems that are about like a product in the world, because I think it's still kind of design, and so it's it's still about understanding how our material culture, to use like a fancy word, is developing, and how us as designers can be responsible for this material culture, for things that we produce and we make and we give to users. So I see that it's a circle kind of going very far from a product-oriented logic and then coming back to it. So that's why I'm still here. Natalie, Kathleen, I don't know. Caroline, I don't know. We have a lot of people in the call. Also someone from the audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I did all the housekeeping. Somebody else speak. I can speak too, but I'll wait for somebody else.
I guess I can do the speaking, and apologies guys, I'm not as talkative today. I had some procedure done last week, so I'm like taking some meds, so it's a bit hazy, but great presentation everyone. I actually teach a service design class at NYU, so I have to say you guys did a really great job, especially now I see a lot of student projects, how they approach different design topics, and I'm definitely really impressed with all the presentation today. And I guess, what was the question in terms of how I got into service design, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like why I want to do this, right? I guess I took a little unconventional route. A lot of you probably start with like some sort of design discipline. Either it's like space design, industrial design, something related to design. I actually never studied design prior to thinking into transitioning into this space. I was more on the business world, but I deal with a lot of logistics kind of problems. And that's when I realized that in order to actually get a product or service delivered, you do need to figure out that human-centered aspect of approach. So long story short, then I did a lot of study on my own and went to school eventually, and now I practice service design, trying to figure out how to make logistical problems better in financial services, which I'm very passionate about, and people usually laugh about it. But think about how you even use your credit card on a day-to-day basis, and you don't want to bring cash everywhere, right, guys? But yeah, so that's a little bit about me and how I got into service design. Essentially that end-to-end process, knowing that not everything you see, it's the only thing that's being designed, but a lot of things that's happening in the backstage is actually the reason why you can even use a service or product in your hand today. And that's why. Anyways, I got done my talking today. Who else wants to share their story? I see a lot of faces here, and I see people turn on their camera. Does that mean that you guys want to speak?
I can try to make mine the shortest. Let's see.
You're good at that.
I kept expanding the scope of influence. Similarly to some of what you all said, I really wanted to have an impact on these bigger problems, which I think there's more past service design that I'm currently exploring, but really thinking about how do we evolve systems. At first it was an app, a website, it was like, what is the platform? And then to me, it was like, no, this is a system that we need to take a closer look at. So for me, it was an expansion of scope of influence and impact and interest, and really having a larger impact than designing for a very specific touch point that might have a smaller impact on somebody's life or whatnot. Next.
That's fantastic. That was very short and very dense. I love that. But I actually know I make fun of Natalie too much. I'm sorry, just because we are good friends. But I really love the kind of like model, like the sphere of influence type of metaphor, which is not even a metaphor; it's actually a real thing. And then like this really kind of provides some orientation, to sort of like understand where to go. I start using that. Thank you. I do have a last question if there are no more stories.
I'll just go really fast.
Oh yeah, hi Chelsea, hi.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Mine is a little unconventional in the same way that I didn't come from a design background. So I actually worked for Disney doing theme park design. And that's kind of where I first learned about how everything works together and how all of the systems go from end to end, and then how Disney markets things. And it was kind of like the first way that I had been introduced to how my brain actually works. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And so then after that, I started to pursue it. I as a career. So, you know, it's never too late.
Never too late. Yes, absolutely not. And yeah, all of us never studied service design. So yeah, it's really true. I really love that. Cool. So I'm gonna ask a very selfish question, and then I think it can be like sort of like maybe the final question. It's more like a topic that I want to open up, and it's selfish because we are always asked to talk and comment about what's the future of service design. But I feel that us as experts or consider experts, we have a very biased vision on that, because obviously, I don't know, we deal with service design every day. That's our job. And then I think we are so used to some patterns that it's hard to imagine really the future. And so I really want to hear from students, like, what do you think is the future of service design? Because I think you're going to have like a completely different vision, a completely different perspective. And, you know, you're probably thinking about things that they're just very different from from our reality, because you're studying it, and so you're kind of like in a discovery type of momentum. So yeah, I mean, I'm very curious about what you think is the future of service design. There's no wrong answer to that. Of course, it's your super personal opinion that matters.
I can go first. I would say in the future, for service design is it's not going to become a more like a job title. I think it's going to become more like a mindset that try to solve the problem. You use service design principle or service design, like for example, service dominant logic, try to use that kind of mindset to solve the problem, rather be, oh, you are a service designer, you design a service, that kind of thing. That's my imagination.
Yeah.
I second Shiji. I think the future that I see for service design, this is a project that I did in a class with Mauricio Manhaes, who's somewhere in here, great professor I've mentioned already, which is, again, what Shiji said, that service design thinking becomes something that's prominent across fields, not just in design, but it starts with human-centered thinking. It starts with that. But then we start to think more holistically about our services. We start to think about things like equity and inclusion. We start to think about people who haven't been represented well by our designs or our products or services. So for me, I think it becomes something that we're all practicing, and possibly something that we can apply to our own personal lives as well. I did a project about applying service dominant logic to like volunteering and how you serve other people, or how you look at your personal relationships. So I think it, again, could be something that really becomes part of our culture.
Yeah, I'm gonna just piggyback off of all of this amazing stuff my peers have said, but I definitely agree. I think it's already a mindset. Like we talk about it as like a futuristic thing, but I think a lot of people use service design, or what we call service design, but they don't even know that they're doing it. And I think possibly like the future implication is that we start teaching these like this mindset, not just adults but kids, and like why don't we teach this as a life skill, and like make, like, you know, this experience that we create more of the currency that we deal with, instead of like trying to think about products or like, you know, more tangible things.
And I'm gonna piggyback for all of these amazing things and bring that, I think, regarding the future, technology is coming. Like, look at us right now compared to a year ago, right? Like it was like we wouldn't even think about being here and having such important conversations in this way.
Right.
And I think really service design, and just like Arundhati said, teaching it young and like having this human thinking and empathy and all of this human, being just human, really brings that difference between technology and our emotional decision making. I think technology is been following a lot of patterns that society has developed, that they're not always good, and bringing service design in a way of just being human and making sure that like technology doesn't just follow through with oppression and things that are happening, service design can really bring, just like I said, that human part of, okay, let's hold on a second. We are developing, we're going, we are innovating, but let's be human again and let's take a step back. So I think that is a very big part that is going to take service design within like new industries that are coming.
Absolutely. Yay. Okay. Wow, this was a lot, but a lot of good stuff. We're reaching a certain time of day, but I don't know if there are other comments.
I just want to thank you, Antonio and Natalie, for putting this together, for giving us a space to practice talking about service design. All of us are graduating this spring, I believe. So going through interviews, talking about our projects, sometimes it is hard to present service design to potential employers who haven't heard of it, right? So if I'm, want to be a UX researcher, that's the position, but I want to introduce the idea of service design. That might be the possibility for me. So this is great practice for all of us, and I'm sure we're all, thinking the same thing. Thankful for you, Natalie and Antonio, for doing this.
Yeah, super welcome, and I'm glad that this was helpful beyond, just kind of sharing. You're gonna be practicing for probably the entire time in your career pitching service design. It's something that it's constantly. I call it like a dialogic discipline, something that it's based on talking, essentially, the storytelling. So probably, this event is not enough to master that. None of us master that thing, but yeah, definitely, like, we are here to offer space to practice this as well. Yeah, I just want to say, like, it's really interesting to talk to you guys. I mean, normally, of course, we dedicate much more time to the part where we share the case study or the project or the approach or a book, and then maybe the discussion is a bit more like rushed. But this was super great, and I think I think I learned a lot today. Also, this is a time where I wish we had a ritual to close our event, that we don't have it. Maybe we should create a ritual, because it's like always like, oh, okay, yeah, bye. So I don't know if anyone has ideas of like great ways to end our conversations. But yeah, I think this is it.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you so much, and yeah, we'll follow up with the video on YouTube and Medium. If you guys have extra things, additional things to say and to share, maybe we'll try also to include some of this reflection in the Medium post. But feel free to reach. Also for the mentorship program, we're always super happy to reconnect later. So we are here for you guys, and hopefully we'll all meet in person at conferences and in Georgia or in New York soon.
I just want to say well done, everyone. I just
yeah.
like incredible work. I don't know if we told you enough through the chat. Maybe you saw some of the posts throughout, but just wonderful, all of you. Keep doing what you're doing. You got this. Everyone on the call, you got this. Everyone's got this. We're all doing our best. But yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time to share with us. I'm really lucky to have you here, and thank you, Antonio, for organizing and coordinating, and thank you, everyone. Maybe that's how we can end, with a big heart.
Yes.
Thank you
Right.
so
Bye, guys.
much.
Thanks all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.